More details on the allegations facing former TKO executive chairman Vince McMahon, as well as former head of talent relations John Laurinaitis. A top WWE superstar reportedly is angry with the response of Triple H when questioned about the allegations in the Royal Rumble post-show press conference. Brock Lesnar was not named explicitly in the lawsuit. However, he's been pulled from all form of creative, including WrestleMania, after his reported involvement in the allegations against Vince McMahon and Laurinaitis. An update on how CM Punk's injury affected plans for WrestleMania 40. More details on why WWE decided to make changes to their commentary teams of Raw and SmackDown. And now former MLW star Jacob Fatu is reportedly a free agent. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And let's start off with the continued coverage of the bombshell allegations made against former TKO executive chairman Vince McMahon, WWE, and former executive vice president of talent relations in WWE, John Laurinaitis. And according to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select, the Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis situations are not going away anytime soon. In addition to lawsuits, federal investigations were revealed for the former WWE owner and longtime executive vice president of talent relations, Laurinaitis, this week. Fightful Select say that they were told earlier this week by longtime employees that they personally expected McMahon to eventually be charged because, quote, if the feds raided Vince and got his phone, they'll almost surely find something, end quote. Now, Fightful has spoken with a number of people within the industry, at least one of which claims they know more people involved. They've been contacted by reporters, attorneys, and the like already, and have indicated that if the additional names involved aren't identified, they'll do it themselves. Now, Fightful has spoken with multiple mainstream outlets that are looking to navigate the wrestling landscape and collect information, and they have provided some of that to them upon request. A longtime WWE employee says that they don't even believe that this lawsuit is the worst of it, pointing to higher settlements. Fightful can confirm that other potential victims have been identified and contacted by attorneys and media outlets to see if they wish to take action. Laurinaitis himself, of course, has already turned on Vince McMahon in what one person who referred to themselves as a longtime former friend of Laurinaitis called, quote, rats jumping off the sinking ship, end quote. Laurinaitis' attorney has reached out to several in the industry in what many believe to be his team trying to find allies or find out who has talked to who to help gauge his best options moving forward. There is still heavy speculation over the source of the original Wall Street Journal leaks, with some thinking it could have been Grant and others believing it was a higher-up within WWE. It was also noted that the Wall Street Journal was able to contact names that many would have not been able to even publicly aware actually worked for WWE in the first place. Now, it is believed that TKO became very aware of the mess on their hands after the merger, and one source believes they would have handled the rollout much differently had they been aware something like this was imminent. However, they were very aware as of last week when McMahon was present at the New York Stock Exchange regarding the Netflix deal. Now, no talent that Fightful have spoken to have had a wide talent meeting or claimed they've been briefed on the situation at hand. Instead, the reactions that Fightful have been hearing is that it appears higher-ups want to move on past Vince McMahon and put him in the rear view. There are talent Fightful have heard from that believe Vince McMahon is delusional enough to try and work his way back into some kind of role. However, it has been reiterated to several talent that Vince McMahon was done and no path was returning to the company even possible for him moving forward. WWE is largely attempting to disassociate from the former executive chairman of TKO. And although Brock Lesnar was not identified in the lawsuit, he was referenced very heavily. And of course, the Wall Street Journal, in fact, identified him as this anonymous party. Now, since then, his creative, according to Fightful, has been halted. He was not brought into Tampa, did not work the Royal Rumble, is not working Elimination Chamber against Dominic Mysterio as planned, or working with Gunther at WrestleMania as planned either. There are no creative plans at play for Brock Lesnar at this moment. It was relayed to Fightful that this doesn't mean we'll never see him again, as that situation isn't as cut and dry as others. Now, when it comes to some of the reaction, we spoke about how WWE is largely looking to move on from Vince McMahon and not really talk about the issue at hand. Now, we knew going into the Royal Rumble last weekend, the post-show press conference was going to be filled with questions regarding McMahon, the allegations, the lawsuits, and it was going to be upon WWE's chief content officer Paul Triple H Levesque, of course Vince McMahon's son-in-law, to answer some of the questions. Now, this past weekend at the Royal Rumble post-show press conference, Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque commented on the sex trafficking and other equally horrific allegations made against Vince McMahon by ex-WWE employee Janelle Grant. Now, Levesque deflected with generally vague responses, reiterating that he wanted to focus on the positives of the Rumble's commercial success, the company's new deal with Netflix, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson joining the TKO board of directors earlier on in the week. Now, his response received a mixed at best reaction from both fans and mainstream press, particularly in contrast to Cody Rhodes' response just minutes earlier, during which he addressed when WWE talent found out about the allegations. However, it now appears WWE talent themselves also weren't too happy with how Levesque addressed the accusations against the company's former chairman. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer shared various insights into the reaction behind the scenes to Levesque's response and the accusations made in Grant's lawsuit overall. Most notably, Meltzer shared a direct quote from a top WWE superstar of the modern era who anonymously gave their thoughts on Levesque's claims made during the press conference and the idea that TKO could try and clean house following the accusations. He said, quote, "He's the effing cerebral assassin, best politicking dude in history, literally wormed his way from a green entry-level wrestler into still average wrestler, absolute top of the office executive. You think he doesn't pay attention to what's going on around him?" said one of the biggest company stars of the modern era. "Think he did that without knowing every little thing everywhere in that company, yet somehow this slipped past his radar? The thing about this place is if TKO starts cleaning house, they're going to show up with a bucket and some Lysol, then realize that shit's in the walls, in the floorboards, and they're going to have to bring out the sledgehammer because that shit is going to turn into a demolition job. Down to the foundation, sledgehammer pun not intended." Now, in addition, another star reportedly hit out at the idea that Levesque hadn't read the lawsuit, stating that he'd have to be living under a rock to not have read it. A separate main roster talent is said to have pointed out that no one from management has discussed the situation with talent other than stating that Vince was gone. Instead, they are focused on the successes of the Royal Rumble and the importance of the new Netflix deal. Now, Nick Houseman of House of Wrestling say they've spoken to members of the WWE roster who have expressed similar frustrations about Levesque's demeanor and response to the situation at the Royal Rumble post-show press conference. From the perspective of the women's locker room specifically, Meltzer reports that there was a lot of trauma as the news broke, alongside the fear that things would only get crazier if more women come forward. In regards to the lawsuit itself, another talent reportedly told Meltzer that its contents were emotionally scarring, particularly because everyone within the company was looking for his approval, and yet, based on the contents of the lawsuit, Vince did not ultimately care about his talents. Quote, "Vince made so many of us feel so small and awful. We all had to obey his abuse in order to keep our jobs," the same talent is said to have stated. So, what are your thoughts in terms of the possibility of more allegations possibly coming out, on the possibility of Vince McMahon being charged? What are your thoughts when it comes to Triple H and his reaction and handling of the questions put to him at the Royal Rumble post-show press conference? Do you think that talent is right to feel frustrated by this? What's your reaction to it? Let me know, as always, in the comment section below. Now, we spoke, of course, about Brock Lesnar and his involvement in the allegations and the lawsuit as well. And given his reported involvement in the recent lawsuit filed against Vince McMahon, it looks as if Brock Lesnar's career in professional wrestling could be coming to a very abrupt end. Now, it was suggested that the former WWE employee Janelle Grant was coerced into a sexual relationship with a roster member who was also a former UFC heavyweight champion, resulting in Lesnar being removed from the Royal Rumble event on January 27. However, it seems that being removed from the Royal Rumble isn't the end of it when it comes to Lesnar and not being involved in WWE's plans, as Fightful Sean Ross Sapp reported on social media that the former WWE champion has been removed from all the company's current creative plans. Sapp also noted that there were plans for Lesnar to face Gunther at WrestleMania, but indeed that is scrapped as well. Now, Dave Meltzer provided an update of his own in the most recent Wrestling Observer newsletter, backing up Sapp's claims that WWE has no intention of using Lesnar at this time. Meltzer did note that due to how big of a star Lesnar is both in and outside of wrestling, it might be foolish to believe his exile from the company would last forever, but Lesnar potentially missing out on WrestleMania 40 is a big step, given that he's been so protected in WWE, both financially and creatively. If Lesnar was to be dropped from WWE creative plans permanently, it obviously means that he would would not only miss this year's WrestleMania in Philadelphia, but next year's event reportedly slated to be taking place in his hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Of course, as of right now, the exact location for WrestleMania 41 has yet to be confirmed as well. Now, not only has Lesnar been removed from creative plans, but it looks like he's been removed from WWE's games as well. According to PW Insider, Brock Lesnar has been pulled from WWE 2K Supercard digital collectible game. Now, many will therefore wonder whether this will set a precedent for Lesnar to be removed from more WWE games. On this, PW Insider noted that if Brock's involvement in similar products is expected to be downplayed, if not entirely removed, as much as possible, this could possibly mean that the upcoming WWE 2K24 game will have Lesnar removed from it as well. Now, heading into WrestleMania, again, we know that a lot of changes are going to be happening because of Brock Lesnar's removal from the show, as well as several injuries, including one CM Punk. Now, CM Punk revealed on this week's edition of Raw that he tore his right triceps during Saturday's 30-man men's Royal Rumble match. The former WWE champion will now be out of action for several months. Meanwhile, Brock Lesnar, as I mentioned, his future is up in the air due to these allegations in Janelle Grant's lawsuit against Vince McMahon. And according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Lesnar's absence has a domino effect on creative plans, while Punk's injury forced WWE to change plans even more heading into WrestleMania 40. As per the report, going into the Royal Rumble, the WrestleMania 40 card featured Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Seth Rollins versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Gunther versus Brock Lesnar, although it's unclear if that clash would have been for the Intercontinental Championship or not. With Punk ruled out of WrestleMania, the Observer's Dave Meltzer speculated that Rollins' opponent would either be Gunther, Drew McIntyre, or Cody Rhodes, depending on how the American Nightmare scenario unfolds following his interaction with Rollins on Raw this week. Monday night, Rollins told the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble winner that he should challenge him for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania instead of going after Reigns. Furthermore, Meltzer put forward the idea of Rollins versus Rhodes for the world title on the first night of WrestleMania, with Reigns versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson headlining the second night of the show of shows. Now, Reigns Johnson has been rumoured for April, although he was unable to confirm anything as of this recording. It was noted that a decision to lock in those two title matches would have been made after Punk got injured. Meltzer writes that fans will find out what direction WWE is going to be going in sooner rather than later, of course with Rhodes and Reigns set to appear on SmackDown tonight. So we could find out more really as soon as tonight as well. Now, when it comes to CM Punk, of course, WWE has been sharing lots of footage of Punk in the build-up and after the Royal Rumble, and CM Punk has actually heaped praise on the current WWE locker room following his torn triceps injury at the Royal Rumble. Now, as I mentioned, WWE had been documenting Punk's journey to the Rumble in a series of YouTube vlogs, with the latest being uploaded today. Now, at the end of the video, CM Punk reflected on his injury, calling the current WWE locker room everything the business is supposed to be. He said, quote, "I'm very careful about saying where you work is your family, because I think your family is your family, where you work is your job, but it's been a great support system, and just certain looks from certain people I get, and then I start crying again. And Cody's one of them. He's a great dude. This locker room is everything the business is supposed to be, and everything this business was sold to me as being, and that's remarkable, and that's why I'm so sad. I'm not sad I hurt my arm, I'm sad that I'm temporarily out of this amazing situation." So Punk with a lot of heavy praise for this current WWE locker room. Now, it's not the only changes we're going to see to WrestleMania this year. Of course, this year's WrestleMania event will emanate from the Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, across 2 nights. Per WrestleVotes, the April 6 and 7 shows are now slated to start at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is 1 hour earlier than the usual 8 p.m. Eastern time slot. Noting that both nights of WrestleMania will have this new start time, WrestleVotes shared the following on Twitter. They said, quote, "Source states WWE has made the decision to change the WrestleMania start time. The main card will now begin at 7 p.m. Eastern, presumably with a kickoff show starting at 5 p.m. Eastern. This will be for both nights of WrestleMania. 2 stars punched their tickets to WrestleMania on January 27, of course, with Bayley and Cody Rhodes winning the respective Royal Rumble matches. So what we're actually going to see is that WrestleMania is going to be starting, as I mentioned, an hour earlier than usual. We don't know if it's going to be finishing an hour earlier. We'll have to wait and see if we get any more details on that. Now, of course, tonight on SmackDown, we're going to see a new commentary commentary team, and with changes to both the Raw and SmackDown commentary teams, further details have emerged on what it's going to mean for the respective shows moving forward. The return of Pat McAfee at the Royal Rumble has seen him take up the desk next to Michael Cole on Monday Night Raw, with Wade Barrett sitting alongside Corey Graves on SmackDown, with Graves doing the lead play-by-play and Barrett doing the color commentary. Writing about the changes in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer stated, quote, "With Kevin Patrick being gone and Pat McAfee being brought in, the announcing teams are now Michael Cole and McAfee on Raw and Wade Barrett and Corey Graves on SmackDown. The idea is that Graves will be the play-by-play guy, and he's never technically been given that, but in actuality he's had to carry that for a few announcers they've brought in. Traditionally, the play-by-play guy is the voices of the baby faces, and the color guy can be the voice of the heels or quite straight. Barrett and Graves have always been heel-side announcers, so it will be interesting because if the announcers both continually put over the heels, they'll become faces, so Graves will likely have to adjust somewhat. Essentially, the changes were because McAfee agreed to come back. He must really love wrestling, because with the money he makes, $17 million per year, and having a family and having a daily studio means he has to do the show and then fly out to wherever Raw is late every week. Look, if you're WWE and he's up for doing it, you absolutely use him. He's super enthusiastic and his name value is huge right now, but he can't be the play-by-play guy, and Cole or a Vic Joseph would have to be with him. Barrett did a great job with Cole, and they didn't want to get rid of him, and Patrick was the weakest link. The one thing is that it would be far tougher for McAfee to continue on this schedule during football season, particularly since for his talk show he would have to be watching Monday Night Football for his Tuesday show, and his schedule is much tighter during the added college football related programming like Game Day he's on, but that's 8 months away. Of course, Kevin Patrick was removed from the SmackDown commentary team on January 22nd in what was described as a last-minute decision. How well do you think Corey Graves and Wade Barrett are going to do tonight on SmackDown? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. Now, this is quite an interesting story that could become pretty big over the next couple of weeks, and that is that former MLW World Heavyweight Champion Jacob Fatu is reportedly a free agent. This was a story that was broken by Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net, who is confirming that former MLW World Heavyweight Champion Jacob Fatu is now a free agent. Now, this really kicked off with Hall of Famer Rikishi with a tweet hinting that Fatu was a free agent. Now, it was rumored that Fatu was still under an MLW deal through 2025. However, through what Bodyslam.net are describing as independent sources, they've been able to confirm that he indeed is not under contract with Major League Wrestling and is free to sign anywhere. Now, despite not being under contract, Fatu will still appear for MLW during the company's tapings this weekend, where he's set to face off against Yuji Nagata in Philadelphia on Saturday, February 3rd. Of course, if we get any more information on Jacob Fatu and his future, we'll let you know. But where would you like to see Fatu sign? Would you like to see him go to AEW, TNA, or could he get involved in the Bloodline storyline in WWE? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. But there you go, guys. It's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.